M. Night Shyamalan's Glass. This is his third and final iteration in his comic book superhero trilogy thing that he decided to do. In this one, we actually get to see all three of the characters together in it. James McAvoy playing Kevin Wendell Crumb, Bruce Willis playing David Dunn, Samuel L. Jackson playing Mr. Glass. This should be the final film in the trilogy. It should be over now, and I'm a little happy about that. Now, I am someone who loved Unbreakable. I also thought that Split was pretty good. My favorite part about Split was James McAvoy's performance. But overall, I've liked the rest of this trilogy. This one is a little different though. M. Night Shyamalan has been due for some sort of a flop for a film, and I think some people, such as I, were kind of expecting that this would be the one. I was very excited for this film, mainly because of James McAvoy. I just wanted to see more of his performance, because he was amazing in Split, seriously, like Academy Award that level. I honestly believe he could have been. So that's the main reason that I was excited for this film. Obviously, you know, the end of this trilogy is also very cool, and I think this one, I mean, I think it was a flop, honestly. I just don't think. One of my biggest issues is the writing. The whole point about this film and this trilogy is supposed to be kind of just a toned down version of like the superhero crazy comic book films that we have nowadays. Superheroes who are just flying everywhere and just destroying tons of things and just doing absolutely insanely things. This is supposed to be a toned down version of that. So it's kind of supposed to be more realistic. It's supposed to balance you more in reality and make you feel like there could actually be comic book characters in real life, such as they are in this film. And the writing totally took me out of it. I didn't think it was well written whatsoever. There were some really crazy lines in this film. One of the lines in this film is literally, "Superman, punch him, Ronald!" Like, that's in like this tension moment where we're supposed to be scared. They just throw that in the middle. There are crazy lines in this film, and it just totally takes me out of it. The writing is just not good in this film. It's supposed to be realistic, because this film is supposed to be more bound in reality than the normal superhero movies that we're used to nowadays, and it just totally doesn't work in this film. As well as that, the pacing in this film just feels so weird and just mismatched and just like off. It doesn't feel like there's an even amount of how much we like see and learn about each character. There's a time where it feels like at the beginning of the movie, there's a point where we feel like this is just Bruce Willis's movie, and that's it. And the other two characters are just like villains, and like he's the superhero that we're gonna be following this entire time. And it ends up, that's not what the film is about. The film is about all three of these characters, and it never feels like all three of them are the main characters like at once, except maybe like at the end. A lot of times it feels like we're specifically following Bruce Willis's character, we're specifically following Mr. Glass, or we're specifically following Kevin Wendell Crumb, but there's no consistency with the pacing and the characters that we're following at any point, and it just totally takes me out of it. All of a sudden I'm watching it and I'm like, wait, we've been watching Bruce Willis for so long, what's happening? And all of a sudden we get like a quick scene of James McAvoy with some prisoners or something, and it's like, what? This is just, everything just feels really off. Music in this film is okay, it's not really special. The best thing that I will say about this film though, which has stayed consistent from Split, like I said before, my absolute favorite part from Split was James McAvoy's performance. That like upped it by like 3 or 4 stars for me. James McAvoy is still just as amazing as he was in Split. I would recommend to see this film only because of James McAvoy's performance. If you saw Split and you just loved him in it, see him in this movie, because this one he's just as good. He's one of the few things that I really enjoyed about this film. That's basically one of the few positives that I can give it, is I just love him so much. This character of his is just so good. I don't. On the flip side of that though, I love James McAvoy's character. I just love how he plays it so much. But the rest of them, I just don't care about whatsoever. I think the rest of them are just super boring, whether it's one of our 2 other superhero, supervillain comic book characters. I think they're both pretty boring. They like try to play this whole thing with Bruce Willis and like his son and his family and his backstory. It just doesn't work for me. Mr. Glass, I don't care for in this film whatsoever. I don't see him as some supervillain character. He's just kind of lame. I love Samuel L. Jackson, but a third of this movie he just sits in a chair and just twitches, like kind of just like twitches his eye and his mouth a little bit. That's pretty much literally like a third of his role in this movie, and the rest of it, he's just some bland character. He doesn't feel super villain-like, or he really is that maniacal. I just don't like him whatsoever. And then the other characters, I just don't care for at all. All the different people that they're like connected with, because each one of the supervillains has like a person that they're connected with. One has like their mother, another, James McAvoy's character, has the girl that he kidnapped. All of them are in this film, and then the same thing with this person who's like doing tests on them and trying to get them to think that they're normal, that they don't actually have superpowers. All of those characters are super lame. I just don't care for them whatsoever. They're super boring. They don't feel special at all. They just feel like they're thrown in this movie just to keep it going. I don't care for any of their characters. Literally the only character that in this film that I think is good whatsoever and that I care about is Kevin Wendell Crumb. Something I didn't mention earlier during the pacing is just how slow this movie feels. It feels like nothing's really happening. They're leading up to this whole mastermind thing with Mr. Glass, who like he's coming up with this plan, and then he finally has his plan, and then he's just totally cut short, and then we don't get to see it at the end. I understand like budget and stuff, but it just doesn't feel, it just feels very slow. It just moves very slow. It kind of just feels the same way where we follow one character, and then we're following another one, and it feels like the scenes are just set up like, okay, this is a Mr. Glass scene, okay, this is a Kevin Wendell Crumb scene, okay, this is a Bruce Willis scene, and it just doesn't feel like it connects whatsoever. The film is super slow, a little boring. But another positive I would definitely give this film is I do like some of the twists and stuff. And it's kind of not afraid to show a few things. A couple little things that kind of not really keep you on the edge of your seat. If it was a better film, they would, but kind of just keep you, that kind of kept me entertained the entire time. But I just didn't think this film was that great. The other two in the trilogy definitely hold their weight, that's for sure. This one doesn't. This one doesn't for me. I think this was kind of, I'm glad that it's the end of the trilogy. I wish that the final film of the trilogy was better, but you know, 1 out of 3 is a flop. That's not too bad. Overall, this trilogy, you know, has done well. This film wasn't that great, however, just not really entertaining overall. I was pretty bored some of the times. Because of that, I'm going to be giving M. Night Shyamalan's Glass a 4 out of 10. Wow, I was really hyped for this movie, and it kind of disappointed a little bit. Not too bad. I mean, you know, I wasn't crazy hyped for like, oh my god, it's happening. I was excited to see it. And that probably is part of the reason that I was so let down when I ended up not liking it that much at all. I doubt I'll see this film again. If I do, it'll probably be because I'm just wanting to see James McAvoy's performance again. Like, the only scenario that I see myself deciding to watch this film again would be if I decided to watch Split and then watch Glass after it, just so I could see James McAvoy's performance. If you couldn't tell, I absolutely love him in these films. That's the only reason I would see it again. But thank you guys so much for watching. I do have to say, if you guys have any films that are out there that are maybe out in theaters, or you just want me to watch and critique at all, make sure to say in the comments. I'm going to try and answer as many of those as I can so I can get more content out to you guys, and actually movies that you want to see me review. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.